And welcome everyone to this afternoon edition of Sports Shorts Daily, presented by the Bears Casino and Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. TK's over at Tremonti's right now. Stop on by, get your boiled crawfish over there. And I'm coming to you from the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios. All right. Today on Sports Shorts Daily, we're going to talk a little bit about LSU's 10-0 win over the Southeastern Lions last night over in Hammond. The game that did not if it happened and nobody saw it, did it really happen? That's what happened yesterday. No LSU Southeastern on ESPN Plus. That was not a big deal maybe 10 years ago, but now every game is on the app or on TV or some other app. There was no television coverage last night. There was supposed to be coverage, and it was they had some technical difficulties. That's your alma mater, Tommy. That's your alma mater.
Well, why didn't they check that stuff in the morning? Or maybe it was unpreventable. I don't know. But if you look at it from Southeastern perspective, you're hosting the number one team. The announced crowd was 3,200, which is massively packed, standing room only for the Lions. I was at a game last month over there. The ballpark's nice. So that place was just jam-packed, jelly tight, right? And then they have a technical difficulty. That's not supposed to happen. I mean, what a recruiting tool to be playing the number one team in the country with two of the great, Dylan Cruz, the greatest player. Skeens wasn't going to throw, obviously. And then you get 10-run ruled. And, I'm like you, Ronnie. 10 years ago, this wouldn't have mattered. But to not have this game on, and it was only announced about 45 minutes before the first pitch. So it's one thing if that it came out Sunday and said, by the way, Tuesday night's not going to be on. It's another blunder by the Strive for Mediocrity Southeastern Athletic Department. Yeah, now, I guess, that could have been out of their control. Let me give them an ounce of benefit of the doubt here. Maybe some crazy piece of equipment malfunctioned 45 minutes before the first pitch. I don't know, but it's inexcusable. It's embarrassing for Southeastern.
It's embarrassing. I think that's a fair statement, no doubt about it. The LSU, though, TV or no TV, took care of the Lions 10-0 in 7 innings. They got back on that midweek horse in a big way. Of course, they lost 2 nail biters the last 2 weeks against the Raging Cajuns and the Nichols Colonels, and against Southeastern. No trouble on the road, 10-0, and the Big Boppers, Thunder and Lightning 2.0, or whatever nickname you want to call them, Double Trouble. We've heard them all. They showed up again.
Well, look at Craig's comment, Ronnie. They still did replays at the stadium, which would tell you the internet was working. Okay, I'm speculating here, but did they whack that to try to get more people to the park?
No.
No,
because look at the point that they sent out that tweet 30 minutes before the game started. What are people going to do at the last minute? You're going to drive from Baton Rouge to New Orleans? No. I clearly they must have had some sort of transmission issue. If they're able to do replays, that means that you've got cameras working and a replay working. That means there was some sort of transmission problem. And as far as the replays working, that doesn't necessarily mean that they had Wi-Fi, Tommy, because you can have the cameras can be wired to a video replay machine. So who knows?
Well, let's point out, in full disclosure here, last month, 5 weeks ago, I was over there in Hammond at the University Center for the LHSAA Girls State Basketball Championships. And that's when their Wi-Fi internet system had been hacked. And the internet service was awful campus-wide, including where we were televising the games from for the Girls State Championship, semifinals and championship games. So maybe this is a tagged into that this is a further problem from that issue. But again, it's unfortunate for lots of reasons that this happened when they played. If they were playing almost anybody else in the country or anybody else on their Tuesday night schedule, you go, okay, no big deal. It was the number one team in the country. This is not because it's LSU. It's the number one team in the country. You'd had eyeballs galore on this thing.
Well, LSU, it was a good tune-up for them, obviously. Look, Auburn didn't even play a midweek game this week. LSU, of course, did. And I think this benefits the Tigers. You go get a 10-0 win. All your pitchers throw a shutout. Tigers had 12 hits in those 7 innings. They improved to 36-8 on the year, and of course take on an Auburn team now that is 9-12. They play on the road. They've won 7 in a row in the league. I mean, and look, this is where the back end of this schedule, LSU's first 5 opponents in the SEC, was the harder part of their schedule. At the break, at the midway point of the season, the last 5 SEC series were at that point were against teams with losing records, 500 or below records in the conference. And even though they are still figuring it out in the pitching staff, still as far as roles and bringing guys back from injury and long delays and things like that, they're not quite as good as they will be in 3 weeks on the mound, but they're still able to win because the offense is so good and you're playing a little bit of a lighter schedule.
I agree with you. So you only got 7 innings in. Okay, obviously they batted the bottom of the 7th, so Southeastern did. So you got to use it as a tune-up. Use that term you just used. And, Auburn will be a little bit tough at home, but LSU should win the series. Heck, they haven't lost the series all year, and they're in the SEC. That speaks volumes and should get 2 out of 3, if not all 3, from Auburn this Saturday over there, this weekend on the Plains.
Yeah, it will be absolutely packed over in the Plains because Auburn's got a great little ballpark, but it's a little ballpark. I mean, it's a 3,500. They might have expanded a little bit, Plainsman Park, to like 4,000, but that's it. And, LSU's got a lot of fans that are in Atlanta. Atlanta's, an hour and a half or 2 hours, not far from Auburn.
And in the Florida Panhandle, Pensacola, Fort Walton area, that LSU fans are going to head on up.
Yeah, a lot of people that don't get a chance to see the Tigers all that often in person are going to be there. And not to mention Auburn fans. Auburn does a nice job too. So going to be a big crowd. Auburn, as you mentioned, as Tommy mentioned, they're 9-12 in the league at the moment. They came off of winning 2 out of 3, though, at South Carolina. Think about that. LSU went split. They went 1-1 at South Carolina. Probably would have lost that game 3. South Carolina was 18-0 or 19-0. Then LSU beat them. Took a Gavin Dugas grand slam, in the 8th, and then a Beloso hit in the 9th to win by 1. They were out of pitching. The 3rd game got rained out. But Auburn went into that South Carolina and won 8-3 on Friday, 9-5 on Saturday, and lost 8-7 on Sunday. So they came close to sweeping South Carolina. So that's who LSU's playing. So right now Auburn's playing some of its best baseball, even though the record doesn't show it.
Yeah, and Craig just pointed out it's 2 hours from Atlanta, so there will be some purple and gold and Tiger fans making that trip for sure, for at least part of the series, if not the whole series.
Speaking of Auburn, they've won 2 of the 2 series in a row. They beat Mississippi State 2 out of 3 the weekend before. We'll get into plenty more Auburn, a little scouting report tomorrow. We mentioned Jimmy Lindsey is the new defensive line coach for LSU. It's good to beat Jimmy Lindsey, Tommy. He gets a raise. He was making $475, which was a bump from $300 a year ago, over at South Carolina as the defensive line coach. How about this? He signs a 2-year deal with LSU. People wonder, well, why did you leave South Carolina to go to LSU? $700,000 this year, $800,000 next year to be a defensive line coach. I mean, I think back to the days of D-line coaches not that long ago, 20 years ago. I mean, if those guys made $100,000, it was like, damn, these guys are making $700,000 and $800,000 now. Unbelievable.
Well, back like you said, 20 years ago, they were making $50,000 or $60,000, and they were hoping for that $5,000 bowl game bonus, because that was going to change the world for them, But Jimmy Lindsey, he's been at a lot of stops. He's one of those coaches with a lot of stops on his resume, and there's 2 sides of that coin. You can say, well, there's a reason he's leaving everywhere, but you could say he's seen a lot of coaches. He's been around a lot of different players and coaches and in different leagues, so he should have a lot of knowledge that he gained, good or bad, from all those different experiences. So, I trust Brian Kelly. He's the head coach, and if he thinks Jimmy Lindsey can do good things on the recruiting trail and with defensive linemen and work with Matt House on the defense, then, we'll see how it goes.
This story broke this morning at 9:45 Central Time, and we'll talk plenty about this weekend on Sports Shorts Radio. I'm sure we'll have to have Patrick Mahomes on our show on Saturday morning, but his brother Jackson Mahomes, 22 years old, was booked into Johnson County Detention Center on $100,000 bond this morning. He's been charged with 3 counts of aggravated sexual battery and additional 4th count of battery. Mahomes attended a brief court appearance via Zoom today. He was assigned a hearing date. I'm trying to see. Police in Overland Park, Kansas, which is the Scottsdale of Kansas City, if you will, Scottsdale to Phoenix, confirmed the arrest stemmed from a woman's accusation that Mahomes assaulted her in February, over 2 months ago. Surveillance video published Wednesday by TMZ appears to show Mahomes kissing a woman while his hands are grasping her neck. The 40-year-old woman, who is the owner of a restaurant and lounge in Overland Park, also accused Mahomes of shoving a member of the restaurant's wait staff in a separate incident. So this is a big deal. Patrick Mahomes, the best football player on the planet. His brother, who's a social media star and has been a little bit controversial in some of his stuff, is arrested and charged with 3 counts of sexual battery. We've had Patrick Mahomes, thanks to Joel Davis, on our show many times on Sports Shorts Radio. We'll have to delicately ask if he would mind coming on this Saturday morning. So tune into that. That'll probably be around 10:40 a.m. We'll try to have him on this Saturday morning. I know you're not an NBA fan, Tommy, and I'm not as big an NBA fan either outside of Pelicans. But Lakers Golden State has my juices flowing. That's a series that I care about. The Lakers are playing some of its best basketball down the stretch with an aging LeBron James and an Anthony Davis who's been hurt. They're playing fantastic. The Golden State Warriors, when they're healthy, are arguably the best team in the league. And Steph Curry just came off of a 50-point Game 7 and all that. So the Lakers Golden State series I am into. Lakers won Game 1 on the road.
Yeah, a lot of attention on this. Steve Kerr as coach of the Warriors, they haven't lost to the Western Conference playoff series up until at least the semifinals. So we'll have to see how this goes. But the whole LeBron story, the Warriors had played 7 games in their previous series. The Lakers had a little bit of a rest, get your legs back under you. Everybody's tired and nicked up at this point in the NBA season. So there was a lot of attention on that game. A lot of bets were placed at the Barstool Sportsbook. It was big. And the game was 112 with less than a minute to go. And a big defensive stand by the Lakers, a poor shot choice, not by Steph Curry, but because they double-teamed him. They weren't going to let him beat them. And then Poole took the shot a little longer than the normal three-pointer, and it didn't go in. A couple of free throws later, and the Lakers win Game 1. But there's a lot of basketball left.
A giant sports story that, Tommy, you could give 2 rats' asses about, and that is the big news. Lionel Messi is no longer going to play for Paris Saint-Germain when his contract's up at the end of the year. He's taking the money just like Ronaldo did. He's headed to the Saudis. They haven't made that official, but he's going to make probably around $200 million to play one season of soccer.
Hey, money talks, right?
Bro.
Money talks, bullshit walks. We all know that. So, wow.
$200 million. I mean, that's what,
right. You need to brush up on your soccer skills, right?
Let me tell you something. There was a lot of talk that maybe a Ronaldo or Messi or something might finish their career, with the MLS, like in that last year or so. Maybe some MLS team gives them ownership, because you can't pay them as much as they're worth. Maybe they give them ownership to come to the United States and play for a season and all that. And that's never happening. The Saudis they bought everything. They buy World Cups. It doesn't matter. They buy Champions League. They buy everything. And they're now buying the best players on the planet. It's okay that they're past their prime. They're still going to go over there and get it done. Unbelievable.
Well, Live Golf went and got some guys past their prime too. So they got the money.
All right. One last story to get to. When you were with the Southeastern, working for Southeastern University 20 years ago, they brought football back, and Hal Mumme was named its head football coach, and after 20 years of being dormant. And they had a quarterback by the name of Martin Hankins, who I thought was one of the toughest, the John Wayne of football, because he got destroyed night in and night out that year with the fun and gun, slinging it 80 times a game and empty backfields and no protection. And Southeastern wasn't very good when they were just kind of restarting football. But that dude kept getting up after every throw, and it was.
You remember that night at Northwestern? Because you were doing TV, I was doing radio. I think he was sacked over 15 times in that game, But it was 2004. He was from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he was running the air raid offense. Hal Mumme, Matt Mumme, his son was the offensive coordinator. Matt Snout, offensive coordinator at Colorado State. And I did a game in Jacksonville, Florida, where he attempted over 70 passes. I forget if it was 74 or 76, and had like 8 touchdown passes. Martin Hankins, he wasn't a big guy, but man, he was tough, like you said, and he could play quarterback. Transferred to Memphis after Hal Mumme left Southeastern and had some pretty good years and numbers at Memphis. Nothing staggering. He wasn't drafted. Well, he's been working as an official. Actually, in 2016, he was an SEC official, and I didn't know that. And then he's been working in the USFL. He got a call about a week ago. He will be an NFL referee starting this fall, 2023 season. And he's in the NFL. He's in the show for referees, as they call it. I've swapped some text messages with Hal Mumme and Matt Mumme. Matt had talked to Martin the other day about this when he saw my post. So it's quite a cool story, especially all you old Lions players that remember the air raid and Hal Mumme and a little bit of excitement that they had. They didn't win a lot of games, but Martin Hankins from Hattiesburg, the air raid, and now he's an NFL referee. It's kind of a cool story.
It's pretty unbelievable. You love stories like that, and especially I get much respect to Martin Hankins. Man, I remember watching him that year and thinking, like, bro, I'd go to battle with that guy. And I know Hal Mumme. I know he holds a special place in Hal Mumme's heart because it got Hal Mumme back into being a head coach, and you building a program from scratch. You need somebody like that, and what a good dude. Happy for him, and I've never cared about officials before, so I'll be watching them now.
Sounds good. Hey, Ronnie, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, big tequila tasting event tonight. Okay, I know it's in the afternoon, but if you're looking for something to do tonight, they got food, drinks, and several tequila tastings right here at Tremonti's tonight. Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Come on in and check it out. It's like $100, all the food and drinks you want. Tequila tasting night. Bandito's pop-up dinner at Tremonti's. Right here, they got catering service, lunch specials, the whole bit. All right, Ronnie, before we get out of here, what time are we going tomorrow? I know we're not supposed to say this on the air, but we're going to.
No, we'll do it at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
9:30, I'll be back here at Tremonti's. We'll tell you more about Tremonti's then. And don't forget Sports Shorts Radio this weekend. Don't forget Rougarou. How about that, Ron? Look at tickets and merch are ready. We're less than a month away from the season opener at Pete Goolsbee Field. Rougarou Baseball, Texas Collegiate League. So go to brrougarou.com, get tickets, get hats, shirts, a great looking selection of merchandise at the golf tournament the other day, which was a tremendous amount of fun. brrougarou.com. We want you to check that out.
All right, for Tommy Chrysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. We'll see you tomorrow morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Please like and share this video. Have a great one, everybody.